Hello, and welcome to Retaining Entry-Level Employees, the low-cost and no-cost ways for employers to retain their rock stars. My name is Leslie Pickard, and I'm an employment consultant with St. Lawrence College Employment Service. So why is it so hard to retain entry-level employees? I've heard from a lot of employers, and most say that they feel that it's because the new generation, the millennials, they don't know how to work hard. But what I'm seeing over and over again is that a lot of employers don't know how to maintain their entry-level employees. Why do employees leave their jobs? Well, insufficient pay, inadequate training, lack of trust in management, management's unrealistic expectation, and an unhealthy culture in the workplace. These are all reasons why employees leave their jobs. What is turnover? Turnover is the rate at which employees leave a job and are replaced. So if you have entry-level employees coming into your workplace and every few months you're having to replace them, then we're going to have to start looking at different ways to maintain these entry-level employees. Why is it bad to have a high turnover rate? Well, first of all, if you've ever been to a place of business and you've gotten poor service, you're not going to go back to that place. So you have lost business opportunities. When you train an employee, you usually have to have a senior employee or yourself on with them. So you're paying for two people during all the training hours. So there's a high cost to that as well. Also, if you live in a smaller neighborhood, you can develop a bad reputation where people are going to say, well, I'm not going to go work for them because I know that they don't treat their employees very well. And I see this time and again. It even takes time for you to interview new candidates. It takes time for you to look over all of their resumes. This is all lost productivity on your part. If your employees are having to meet new people all the time and get used to them only to have them leave and then have to meet more new employees, it can have a decrease in morale and engagements, and it also costs you a lot more money. Turnover costs for one full-time entry-level minimum wage employee in Ontario is estimated to be at a minimum $9,484. And the time that it takes you to fully train an employee to be a productive member of your workplace, you've put in a lot of hours with that employee. So let's look at tips to decrease turnover. First, you have to get your employees to engage. Then you also have to give them the recognition that they deserve. And you also have to give them the appropriate training. Employee engagement. When people are financially invested, they want to return. But when people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. So what you're looking for is you're looking for people who work for you who buy into what you're selling or buy into what you're doing. They have to agree with what you're doing, and the more engaged you are, the more engaged they're going to be. When employees feel passionate about their work and how committed they are to your customers, you and your company. We've all had that great service, the people who know the menu, the people who know what they're selling, the people who know what their services are, and they go over and above, and we're more likely to go back to that company than we are to somebody who tells you that they have no idea what it is that they're selling. Engaged employees will go over and beyond within their job. You'll have happier customers. They're also going to refer friends and family to work for you, so your name in the community as an employer is a good one. They're eager to be cross-trained or have more responsibilities, which really gives you a lot more time and to focus on other things. They have significantly less absenteeism and are unlikely to leave your company for another. Disengaged employees don't feel compelled to do more than their job. They don't care about customer retention rates. They have higher absenteeism rates. They don't have any work friendships, and they don't feel any commitment to their employer. There's also a higher turnover rate. Benefits of employee engagement. So Engaged employees are more likely to recommend a friend or a relative, which is really important because that's where your rock stars are. That's where all the people who love what they do, they talk to people who love what they do as well. And referred employees have a 45% retention rate after two years, while employees hired from a job board only have a 20% retention rate after 2 years. Walk the walk. You're going to want to be a leader, a mentor, and act the way you want your employees to act. You have to stay engaged and plugged in so that your employees are more likely to stay engaged also. You have a product that you want to sell, that you want to get out there. You want your employees to do the same thing. So this is where your time comes into account. Now, you're going to be putting a lot more of your time in at this stage, but then eventually you're going to see the return. Have meetings. Schedule short weekly meetings and have a clear, concise schedule of items to be discussed with input from all the attendees. People want to be heard. Sometimes they have, your soldiers that are on the ground have great ideas on how they can do their job better. And if you have meetings, perhaps their idea isn't perfect, but other employees could add to it to make a wonderful idea to bring your business out. Performance reviews. Now, I can't express to you how important it is to have performance reviews. Performance reviews should be a positive experience. They don't have to be negative. Now, I say book semi-annual performance reviews, but when you first hire an employee, when you first start noticing different things about them, you could say after the first month or the first week or the first 2 weeks of work, it's really important to have a performance review and have it be standard so that people don't feel that they're being singled out. The performance review could simply be, you seem to be training well, you're learning your job, you're getting along with all the customers and other employees in the place. We're really happy. Let's keep up the good work. Or it could be, here is where you shine. You're great with the customers, you're fast on your feet, you give wonderful service, but I'm noticing that there is a little bit of, issue with the other coworkers, or maybe you're noticing that they're not as punctual as you'd like them to be. The negatives should not be pointed out as negatives. They should be things that you can work on together going forward. Ask the employee what their goals are, and then show them how their goals and your goals can fit together to be successful. Transparency. Transparency is important because a lot of people think that they're being transparent, but they're not. Be clear with your expectations. Try it on a family member. Ask them to perform a duty and see whether they understand what you're saying, so that when you're speaking to employees, all of your expectations can be met. You can even write that down. A person who feels appreciated will always do what's more than what is expected. This is important as well. A lot of people think that their paycheck is recognition enough, and that's just not the case. People need to know that they're doing a good job. So there's a lot of great ideas. Not everybody can afford to keep bumping up salaries all the time, but there can be bonuses. You can offer gift cards, you can offer movies for two, you can offer an email just to everybody in the office to acknowledge a job well done when somebody goes over and above. You can give them a paid day off or lieu time. The only thing worse than training employees and losing them is not to train them and keep them. And this could not be more true, because having an employee representing your company and they're not well trained is not good for business. So training is important because it reduces supervision time. If you get them trained before the busy season starts, then you're not having to look over their shoulder all the time. You also have improved quality of service and product, and it reduces your costs. There's a lot less loss in cash revenue. in spillage, in balancing problems if they're trained well. You also have skilled workers who understand how to communicate and work with other people. And it does increase the employee satisfaction. They're going to be retained and they're going to be engaged in your business if they feel that they know what they're doing. It also gives you the competitive advantage. If you're not investing in training, you can expect an unsafe work environment. People won't know what they're doing and they're going to be slipping and dropping things. You're going to have employees who are unhappy to work with you, a decrease in production time and quality, loss of customers, high turnover, indirect costs, and don't forget absenteeism. The key to having the most effective training plan possible is to have a clear and concise plan. So if you do have a season that is less busy than others, it's important to use whatever resources you have to write up a plan, write up a training plan for your new employees. You can make learning fun. You can encourage the new employee every time they do something good, let them know that you're happy with the work that they're doing. And use as much hands-on training as possible. You can have handouts that are laminated that they can leave by the front door or the back door if they open or close. You can have handouts by the kitchen that are laminated that they can refer to make sure that they're following all the steps that you require. If you don't have time to train the new employee, then you must get a senior employee to train. You can't just throw them in there and expect that they're going to know what to do. If you train your employees when it's slow, then it's a lot easier for them to grab onto all of the nuances that make your business better. There is assistance available. You can call your local employment service office. We do offer training incentives. Please feel free to give us a call anytime and I'll be happy to discuss that with you. How much training will the incumbent require? How specific and difficult are the required tasks for the position? So if I've never cooked in a restaurant before, but I've cooked at home, that doesn't mean that I have experience cooking in a commercial environment. So it would be really important to be able to get me in while it's a little slower and show me exactly what is required in order to be able to maintain a clean workspace, in order to be able to chop things up the way that you want them chopped up, and make things the way that you want them made. Set training objectives. So what information needs to be covered? Keep in mind that health and safety training and WHMIS training are mandated by the Ministry of Labour for every employee in Ontario. Focus on the big picture. Where do you want them to be in the busy season? And be realistic. Do you want to have them doing hands-on work the first day? The second day? Do you want them to job shadow? So creating an action plan, our office, for instance, has an employer liaison who could help you create an action plan during the slower season. Your delivery should also be planned, and you can even try a small test group for your training, for instance, at home with your family. So there's on-the-job training where an employee shadows with you or a senior employee and you give them tasks as you go along. There's classroom training where you send them away to be trained, and distance and online training. And then there's also coaching where they're doing the job and you're coaching them to make sure that they're following your standard operating procedures. On-the-job training is more effective, but it can be rushed if you're bringing them in during the busier seasons. You give the trainee confidence and build rapport with them and all of your coworkers. However, sometimes we're trying to cram too much information into a shift. You're able to give them immediate feedback, but if your trainer is unprepared or undercommitted, then they may not have the ability to give that immediate feedback if you're in a busy situation. So you're also able to correct the mistakes as they happen instead of waiting until they develop these bad habits. But again, if you're training on the job during a busier season, customers may not be understanding of this poorly timed training. Classroom training is informative and it can be concisely delivered in a safe and quiet environment, but you have to pull these employees off the job in order to be able to do it. And the instructor can properly demonstrate these activities, but perhaps that's just not feasible for a smaller employer. And distance and online training requires a lot of dedication from the trainee. Not everybody can learn on their own like that. It is available at all hours of the day, but it may not be effective for all materials. And it's cheaper and quicker, but there is a lack of human contact. Coaching and mentoring is great because you have a go-to person, somebody that they can always go to when they have questions or problems, but it is a major time commitment for the mentor. And with I would hope that if you did have a mentor that you are compensating them financially for that kind of commitment. The incumbent will feel a sense of achievement from the mentor's feedback, but mentors and mentees don't always get along well, so that can be a problem as well. And then the incumbent will also gain valuable insight and experience from working with a skilled coach. But it's important that you hire somebody as a mentor who knows exactly how to train people. So Kirkpatrick's has 4 levels of training evaluation model. So the first is reaction. Did the trainee enjoy the training? What was their perception? It's important to hear that from your trainee. It's important to also test the knowledge of the material covered in the training. Are they using this behavior on the job? And the results. Did those who participated in the training improve as a result of the training? How to evaluate reaction. Consider asking these questions to the trainees. Was it worth your time? Would you consider the training a success? The strengths and weaknesses of training, and did the training accommodate their personal learning style? Those are all really important because not everybody learns the same way, and not everybody teaches the same way, and it's important to get feedback on your training. Training evaluation. Measure what your trainees have learned. Has their knowledge increased as a result of the training? Keep in mind what changes you were looking for in knowledge, skills, or attitude. You will see a lot more confidence in an employee when their training has gone well. Evaluating behavior. Has the trainee changed their behavior based on the training they received? Have they applied the information provided? Did the trainees put any of that learning to use? And are they able to teach their new skills? Analyze the final results of the training. Include outcomes that the organization have determined to be good for the employees or business. Has the training increased employee retention, increased production? Is there higher morale, increased sales, and increased customer satisfaction? Those are all things that you could expect from a good training environment. The most dangerous phrase in the English language is, we've always done it this way. So that was our webinar on retaining entry-level employees. Please feel free to contact me. I also have an example of an employee evaluation. If you'd like, I can email that to you. You can email me at lpicard@sl.on.ca. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for joining me today. Bye now.